Hello children, welcome to BKSS Physics Clinic. In this class today, we are going to discuss what we discussed in the previous video to the next level actually. In the previous video, we discussed several experiments like the experiment performed by Hertz, then Halovax and then Lenard, and these experiments explicitly showed that actually electrons are emitted from metal surface when light is allowed to fall on it. And then we came across terms like cutoff potential, threshold frequency, and then we discussed various aspects of the experiments, right? Now, in fact, this was a very startling discovery that emission of electrons is not depending upon intensity if frequency of the incident light is less than a certain minimum frequency. Now, here you see in wave theory we discussed that electromagnetic light is made up of electromagnetic waves, and these waves consist of oscillating electric and magnetic fields. For example, this is electric field E, and then here we have magnetic field B. These fields are constantly changing their positions, but they are always at right angle to each other. Now, the interesting thing is that we extensively proved that light has got wave nature. If you go to Maxwell theory of electromagnetic waves, then the theory says that electromagnetic waves emit energy continuously. There is a continuous distribution of energy when electromagnetic waves propagate through a medium. Now, the interesting thing is that this theory has been able to explain the phenomenon like you have done in wave optics also, like interference, polarization and diffraction very well. But then this theory fails to explain what observations we made in photoelectric effect. In fact, intensity is nowhere helping us in emission of electrons if the frequency is less than a certain minimum frequency. The whole thing boils down to frequency. Now, we will be pointing out what were the failures of the wave theory, the electromagnetic wave theory, in explaining the phenomenon of photoelectric effect. What is contradictory here? So, we will see failures of wave theory in photoelectric effect, in photoelectric effect. There are certain anomalies, rectifications that need to be applied to the existing wave theory. We will be seeing what is the failure of wave theory in explaining electromagnetic waves, the emission of photoelectrons. First one is, see, according to wave theory, energy is distributed continuously. If I consider a metal surface here, a metal surface, and light is falling on it, then you see energy will be distributed continuously on the surface of the metal. If intensity is higher, if intensity of light is higher, that means the energy density will also be higher. Why energy density will be higher? Because if intensity is higher means, what is the meaning of intensity? The amount of energy falling perpendicular to a surface area per second is called intensity. So, if I am saying if the intensity is higher, that means the amplitude of electric and magnetic fields will also increase. As the amplitude of these oscillations will increase, then obviously the energy density will increase, and therefore greater amount of energy will be distributed on the surface of the metal. And as greater amount of energy will be distributed on the surface of the metal, then electrons will be forced to absorb more amount of energy, and a stage will be reached when they will be emitted from the surface. Right? That means more the intensity, more the emission of electron. But we find, but this is not true, because intensity alone will not decide, but here it says that intensity alone will decide the emission of electrons. More the intensity, more will the emission. First failure, that wave theory predicts that more the intensity of incident light, more will be the emission of electrons. Second thing. Now, since greater intensity means greater energy density, hence greater amount of energy is being absorbed by electrons. Therefore, the emission of electrons should not depend upon frequency. Hence, threshold frequency is not required according to the wave theory. But this is on the contrary, that threshold frequency has to be there. If frequency is less than this, then there will be no emission. This is what experiments are telling us. Now, the third inconsistency is, you see, when electromagnetic waves are falling on a surface, then there are lots of electrons on the surface and energy is continuously falling. Imagine energy is falling in these areas, this energy is not being absorbed. If the energy is falling on these areas, this energy will be absorbed by electron. So, as a consequence, a lot of energy will be wasted, will not be absorbed. That means these electrons are going to take a long time, they will be absorbing energy very slow. So, they will be taking a long time to reach a pitch where they can overcome the work function and leave the surface of the metal. What does it mean? It means, according to wave theory, when the radiations are incident on a surface, then immediately electrons will not be emitted. There will be time lag. There will be huge time lag actually. But this is contrary to the observations, because you have seen in the Lenard experiment that the moment the light is allowed to fall on the cathode, immediately, here we discussed in fact in the previous video, this is cathode and this is anode. The moment the radiations light will fall on this, circuit is completed and we see a deflection in the micrometer. So, wave theory says that there will be time lag between the light being incident and electron being emitted, but the experimental results say that the moment the light will strike, immediately the electrons will be emitted, there will be no time lag. So, these are the major failures of the electromagnetic wave theory or the wave theory of light. Okay, let us see here. According to this theory, we will be writing the points. Will be emitted, which is wrong, which is contradictory, which is contradictory. So, this is the first point that we have to know. According to this theory, greater the intensity of light, greater the energy density, and greater the number of electrons will be emitted, which is contradictory, because we know that it does not depend upon intensity. Now, the second defect, it predicts that no threshold frequency required. Frequency is required, and photoelectric emission will strictly depend upon intensity, which is contradictory, which is contradictory. So, the second point we came across, this is also contradictory. Now, the third point it relates, it predicts time lag. It predicts time lag in emission of electron, electron which is contradictory, which is contradictory. So why time lag again? I explained to you, because as the energy is falling on the metallic surface continuously, then it will result in very slow absorption of energy, because see, electrons are not the possibility that energy will directly go to electron is very less, because there is a huge empty space between these two electrons here. Energy is continuously falling. Imagine there are two friends, one is standing here, the other is standing here, and water being continuously sprinkled. They will be getting what? Less amount of water to themselves as water is being continuously distributed. There will be a lot of wastage here. Same thing goes with light also. So there will be a time lag, because they will be taking a long time to reach up to the energy, so that they can overcome the work function. Hence there has to be time lag, and we know this is also contradictory. So these are three major failures of the wave theory of light, and White has not been able to explain the observations of experimental observations of photoelectric effect. Now children will be seeing how Einstein managed to explain photoelectric effect. Children, now we will be seeing Einstein's theory of photoelectric effect. Einstein theory of photoelectric effect. This is an important one, and you should understand also photoelectric effect. In fact, children, it was very much evident that the classical wave theory is not a good theory to explain this phenomenon. It is like this: you take a hammer and strike on a surface. Where the hammer hits, you can see a chunk of matter will fly away. Or you take a stone, or you take a bullet and fire into a target, where the bullet will hit, then a chunk of matter will fly away from it. The phenomenon has to be seen something like this. There is a metallic surface, and on the metallic surface, electrons are distributed like this. When light is falling on it, then electrons are being emitted. And electrons are what? Matter. Electrons are matter. So emission of electron, in fact, between the light which is incident on it, the wave, and electron is like an interaction between two matter particles, not just a wave and matter. Electrons are matter, you know already, they have their own mass. So there is like interaction between two matter particles. Light is also to be taken as a matter particle. Einstein said, in fact, he derived his theory from Max Planck's theory of quantum mechanics, from quantum theory of radiations. And the quantum theory of radiation says that light behaves like a packet of energy, and each packet of energy we call quantum. The plural of quantum is quanta, right? So according to quantum theory of radiation, light behaves as a packet of energy. So see the difference. In the conventional wave theory, energy is coming continuously, but according to the quantum theory of radiation, energy is not coming continuously, it is coming in packets of energy. Like there is an event and there are packets, and different packets are being handed over to different people. Same thing, each packet is different. Each packet will have different amount of energy. That means distribution of energy that light is composed of, in fact, is not continuous, it is discrete in terms of packets of energy. Suppose, let us understand at a conventional level, you want to run from point A to point B, and then the distance is x, and you require z calories for this. Z calories you require, and distance you have to run is x kilometer. And you are told that you have zero energy, because for running you require energy. You have been told you have zero energy, you will be given a packet to eat the packet and run. So you went to the distribution point, you took a packet and started running. Now, if the packet contains less than Z calories, you will not be able to complete the race. But if your friend, he got a packet which had more than Z calories, he will have and he will be able to complete the race. It is something like this. These discrete packets make a difference. One packet of energy came and hit here, and this energy was more than work function, electron will leave the surface and go. Here energy was more than work function, which we discussed in the last class. This electron, when it leaves, it can fly, it has kinetic energy. In the other case, suppose you got a packet which had just Z calories in it, then what will happen? You will just complete the race, but you can't run beyond because your energy is over. So here, if energy of the incident photon is equal to work function, then also emission will take place, but kinetic energy of electron will be 0 because it has what energy? Just enough energy to break free from the nucleus. And third case, suppose here I have in this photon energy is less than W, then what will happen? There will be no emission. Yes? So, Einstein said, in fact, the light is made up of packets of energy, discrete packets of energy called quanta or photon. And energy of each photon depends upon its frequency. How? Energy of a photon is directly proportional to its what? Frequency. So, more the frequency, more will be the energy of photon. Very simple. Now, this packet falls on an electron, electron absorbs this packet and then it starts doing work in breaking free from the nucleus, and that is called what? Work function. Imagine something like this. This is the nucleus, these orbits, an electron is located in the outermost orbit here and a photon hits it. A photon hits it. So, when a photon will hit this particle, that is the electron, then it will be transferring all its energy to electron. We will be seeing, when we see dual nature of radiations, that photon has no mass, it has only energy. Suppose your mass is x kilogram and you take 1 million photons, your mass will not increase. What will increase? Your energy will increase. Photons don't have any mass. So, one photon is only allowed per electron. So, this packet of energy hits an electron. So, when this photon will hit this electron, then what will happen? Electron will take its energy and try to break free from the nucleus. Suppose you give it energy E. Out of this energy E which the electron received, it is spending how much energy? W. It is spending energy W. For example, suppose you gave it 100 unit of energy and the electron spent 80 units of energy. Like 100 rupees you gave, 80 rupees is spent. So, how many rupees are left with you? 20. So, energy which is left with the electron, that is kinetic energy, is E minus W. And how much is that? 20 units. This is what Einstein said, that continuous distribution of energy will not do. Light is composed of discrete packets of energy called quanta or photon, and energy of each photon depends upon its frequency. And then when a photon strikes an electron, then part of the energy of photon is used as work function. So, how much energy is spent already? E minus W. How much energy is left with you? Okay, this kinetic energy. You spend W out of it, how much is the remaining energy with you? Kinetic energy. There is no potential energy because you left the nucleus, you have left the atom. So, this kinetic energy K is equal to E minus W. Now, if E is more than W or equal, then photoelectric emission will take place, and if E is less than W, no photoelectric emission will take place. And this famous equation which you are seeing out here is called Einstein's photoelectric equation. Einstein got a Nobel Prize for explaining this in 1905. Right? So, you can understand this, that it was a very landmark experiment, explanation actually, because it earned him a Nobel Prize. So, we will be writing all the points that are proposed by Albert Einstein in explaining photoelectric effect. First part, light is called quanta or photon, right? Energy of each photon is directly proportional to its frequency. Meaning children, E is directly proportional to nu, or E is equal to h into nu, where you know what is h? H is Planck's constant. Planck's constant, and its value is 6.626 into 10 to the minus 34 joule second. So, you solve the problem that energy of photon is depending upon its frequency. More the frequency, more will be the energy. The first one. The second point is said that when a photon strikes an electron, part of its energy is used as work function, and the rest of the energy is used as its kinetic energy. Clear? So, we have K is equal to E minus W. K is equal to E minus W, where a K max you can write maximum kinetic energy. Electron can have maximum E minus W or less, but it cannot have more. Where E is what? E is energy of incident photon. Energy of incident photon. Okay. So, here children, maximum kinetic energy E minus W. Now, third thing is said, how is this minimum frequency related to the work function? Very easily you can also understand that when this light is falling on the metal, basically the light is striking an electron. For being emitted, the minimum amount of energy which is required by the electron will be equal to the work function, right? Because the minimum is the electron will just step out of the boundaries of the atom and get itself free, right? That's the minimum energy it needs. This minimum energy will come from where? From the energy of photon, and that energy of photon will depend upon its what? Frequency. So, he said that a certain minimum amount of energy is required to emit electron from the atom. It corresponds to to a certain minimum frequency of photon called threshold frequency. So threshold frequency what? Nu zero. So if the threshold frequency nu zero, then W is equal to H nu zero. So when I look at it, equation 1 and 2, then we can combine them to get a beautiful result. Here we can say K maximum is equal to E minus W or E minus H nu zero. This is the maximum kinetic energy of the incident electron. This equation which is saying equations 1, 3, this is called Einstein's equation for photoelectric effect. In fact, equation 3, but we know E is equal to how much of children? H nu. E is equal to H nu. If I put this value out here, then how much the maximum kinetic energy? H nu minus H nu 0. Maximum kinetic energy you can also write what? Half mv square. V max square. Max you may not write, you can just write V also. H you can take common, nu minus nu 0. So this is another formula we get. This is equation 4. These are all variations of Einstein's equation. Now if I want to relate Einstein's equation with wavelength, then children you know nu is equal to c by lambda, where c the speed of light and lambda is the wavelength of the incident light, and nu will be how much of c by lambda 0. If I put it here, then what do you get? Half mvx square is equal to hc 1 by lambda minus 1 by lambda 0. This is equation 5. So these equations 3, 4 and 5, 2, these are very crucial in solving numerical problems on photoelectric effect. Clear? We will come across number of photons emitted. So for number of photons emitted children, number of photons emitted children, number of photons emitted, will get numericals on this. So number of photons emitted, n will be equal to emitted per second. Generally they will give you per second is equal to energy per second upon energy of each photon. Okay. So number of photons emitted will be children. Energy per second is also called power, h nu, or you can also use hc by lambda. So this equation can be used for calculating number of photons emitted. Clear? So we understood what exactly is photoelectric effect and how Einstein was able to explain it. Okay. Suppose you are doing a numerical in which, suppose they are saying, suppose you get a question, electrons are just emitted from a metal surface light of wavelength 2000 angstrom is used. Suppose they give us something like this, that electrons are just emitted when light wavelength 5000 angstrom is incident on the metallic surface. So we can calculate easily here. Lambda 0 is given as 5000 angstrom. If you convert into meters, it will be 5000 into 10 power minus 10, which is 5 into 10 power minus 7 meter. Now I want to calculate what will be the value of work function. So work function, children, is, remember, frequency will not be given generally, wavelength will only be given. Work function W is equal to hc by lambda. H is 6.6 into 10 power minus 34 into C is 3 into 10 power 8 divided by 5 into 10 power minus 7. Clear? So W will be equal to 6.6 into 3 divided by 5 into 10 power minus 19 joule. Okay? This will be in joule, but they would like you answer in terms of electron volt. So for converting joule into electron volt, what do? You divide by how much? 1.6 10 minus 19. So either you can calculate like this, or you can divide 6.6 into 3 divided by 5 into 10 power minus 19. 10 power minus 19. This is gone. So this is nearly 4.1 and this is 0.6. So how much do you get? 2.46 electron volt. First answer. Clear? Now they are saying if light of incident 2000 angstrom is used, what will be the energy of the emitted photoelectron? So case 2 will see energy of incident photon E is equal to how much here? Hc by lambda 6.6 10 power minus 34, C is 3 into 10 power 8, and how much is lambda? 2000 angstrom. So 2000 angstrom, like we converted into 10 power minus 10, 2 into 10 power minus how much? 7 meter. So 2 into 10 power minus 7 meter. Clear? So if you solve this, then this will be 3.3 into 10 power minus 19 joule. Clear? And now once we know this energy 3.3 into 10 power minus 19 joule, if you can convert also into how much will be its value in terms of electron volt. So we convert it, E equals to 3.3 10 power minus 19 divided by into 3 into 3.3. So it becomes 9 this is gone, 9.9 divided by 1.6, 99 by 16, so becoming 6.2 electron volt approximately. So energy of the incident photon is 6.2 electron volt, right? Now they are saying what will be the maximum kinetic energy of emitted photoelectrons. So K max will be equal to Einstein's equal to E minus W, which is 6.2 minus 2.46. Clear? So 3.74 electron will be the energy of maximum kinetic energy of the emitted photoelectron. So you can, if you get sums like this, you will be able to in fact solve very easily. Remember always that we can give our answer in terms of either joule or in terms of electron volt, depending on what the question demands, right? And suppose they ask you what will be the velocity of the emitted electron, then this kinetic energy will be converted into what? Joule. If they ask you, they are not asking the question, if they ask you, then I will be converting this kinetic energy K into Joule, and then I will be using K is equal to half mv square. K I already know, and then V will be how much here? 2K by m, and this will give you speed in meter per second. Okay, so we can easily solve like this. Alright, we can calculate the velocity. So children, we understood how we can calculate velocity also of photoelectrons if you know the maximum kinetic energy. Now, once you have understood this, we will be discussing dual nature of radiation. Dual nature of radiations. Dual nature of radiation. Max Planck had already discussed that light travels in the form of discrete packets of energy that we call quanta or photon. But whether this photon is having particle nature also was not known. But after photoelectric effect was discovered, it became very evident that when light is striking a surface, it is causing emission of electron. Like this. Electrons are basically what? Particles with mass. Electrons have mass, right? Therefore, it becomes imperative for us to assume that photon also has got what? Some kind of mass. Because actually when a photon is striking a metallic surface, it is causing emission of mass. So photon is not having only what? Energy property, a wave property, it must also have matter property associated with it. Otherwise, emission of matter will not be possible. Right? It is like one particle coming in, striking another particle and dislodging the other particle. We can imagine I fire a bullet into this block, the metallic block, the bullet hits here, a tiny bullet, and the bullet dislodges this electron from its what? Position in the metal. Something like this. So, physicists were forced to assume this fact that photon or light is not just a wave, but it is also a particle, and therefore, it was suggested and is believed today. So many experiments including Compton scattering you will be doing later on explicitly denote this phenomenon that light is having what? Particle nature also. So, we conclude here, going by photoelectric effect, that in all interactions with matter, light behaves as a particle. Right? Light is already a wave, we discussed extensively, and now light is also behaving as a particle. Now, don't mistake it with the Newton's corpuscular theory, which we did in the wave optics in the beginning. This is a different phenomenon altogether on the quantum level, but nevertheless Newton also said that light exists as a particle, but he did not say wave. But after discovery of photoelectric effect, it became imperative to assume a similar phenomenon, but not the same, that light is a particle as well as a wave. So, here dual nature, number one. So, before that we define what is a photon. Actually, we already defined photon is a quantum of energy that light is composed of, right? Now, photon is very special. Now, see, let us understand a little more. Matter and wave. Matter has got mass, and if it has got mass, it has to have momentum, right? Now, wave has got energy, it has got energy, it has got frequency, it has got wavelength. But before photoelectric effect, it was believed that wave has energy, frequency and wavelength, but it does not have mass and momentum. But photon is a very special particle. Its rest mass is 0. Rate mass is 0. but its momentum is not zero. Means when photon is not moving, it is stationary, it is not having any mass, but it is having a momentum. We will be discussing this. Its momentum P is equal to its energy by C. Or h nu by c, and h nu by c is h by actually lambda. So, photon is a particle having zero rest mass. It has no mass when it is not moving, but it has a momentum, and it also has a energy. So, apart from these characteristics, photon has similar characteristics as that of matter. So, therefore, it becomes necessary to assume that photon is in fact a wave as well as particle. So, we will be writing what is a photon. Light is called quanta or photon. Okay. So, we define what is a photon. Now, properties of photon. First property, in its interaction with matter, photon acts as a particle, showing dual nature. Particle as well is already a wave, which is acting as a particle as a wave, also showing its dual nature. First one. Number two, its rest mass is zero. Its rest mass is zero. It does not have its rest mass. However, its relativistic mass is given as E is equal to h nu by c square. This is the relativistic mass of photon. Number three, energy of photon E is equal to h nu and its momentum P is equal to h nu by c or h by lambda. So, these are precisely the results having energy and momentum that show that in fact it is a particle also apart from being a wave. Third property. Now, fourth property, photons are electrically neutral. Photons are electrically neutral. They are not deflected therefore by electric and magnetic fields. Clear? That means photons will be characterized only solely in fact by their frequency and wavelength. You can have any source of light, but all these light sources will be identified by the frequency and wavelength that they will be emitting. Clear? Now, we can actually show why the momentum will be this much, and then why its relativistic mass will be this much. It is the interaction of photon with matter that makes it exhibit that is got dual nature. Now, like you have done in class 11 collisions and have seen how momentum energy gets conserved. So, the question arises, when a photon collides, when a packet of energy here, incident energy collides with an electron here, then what is conserved in the collision, what is not conserved in the collision. In fact, children, it is very interesting that even at a quantum level also, whenever photon will collide with any matter, its energy and momentum will be conserved. However, number of photons will not be conserved. Maybe one electron is incident, one photon is incident and two photons are being produced. Or maybe two photons are incident and both are absorbed, no photons are produced. Or maybe two are incident, photon is produced. So, number of photons in the collision will not be conserved. However, energy and momentum will also be conserved. So, let us write it here. When photon collides with matter, energy and momentum are conserved, but number of photons is not conserved. So, children, we discussed in this video Einstein's photoelectric effect and also the dual nature of radiation. Okay. So, I hope you understood it. Go through this in detail. Thank you.